All right, we in here. Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Kemere, and I'm back with another video. And you're watching Kemere Music TV. If you're new here, please make sure you subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share this video with all your friends. And most importantly, make sure you comment down below your thoughts on this topic. Okay, we're gonna get into some things. You guys are here to discuss why the KeKe Palmer and Jonathan Majors interview had to go. It had to go. It had to go. Okay. So I'm going to make sure all of this is shared on all of the things. If you're subscribed, hopefully you got this notification and you are tapped in so that we can have this conversation. Because a lot of people were upset at, well, let me just say the people that I watch, okay, the audiences that I am a part of and the influencers that I partake in were in an outrage, were upraged, okay, because we understood what this meant. We understood what we want for KeKe and from our influencers and from our leaders, who are on the stage. And then, you had those people who they kind of leaned more towards the birdism. Now, if y'all follow me on TikTok on my JTFIO or just trying to figure it out handle, you guys know I did post a little snippet, a little clip it of just this is giving birdism. It is, and so there's that conversation, and then there's the conversation of y'all. I'm not seeing it on my YouTube channel. Hold on. There's the conversation of the feminist, the realist, woke, if you will, and just, a person who believes in human rights. Okay, here we go. I see it now. Let me share this. I used to share it on Twitter, but that's not a thing no more.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. All right. So let's get into this conversation, right? KeKe Palmer, we know her, we love her. And, in the past year or two, she's really been doing her thing as far as like just being out there, being the girl next door, being the one to say the things that we love. She has a lot of different clips of, it's your girl. Okay. When she used to say in the gag is, we really didn't, I wasn't featuring it too much, but she would say that. She has a lot of things and sayings, hot takes, all of these things that she says that we align with, right? She was just in one of them days, which was a great production with her and SZA, and we loved her in that. And so, lately she hasn't been able to do any wrong, right? But if you guys could think back to a few years ago, there was this big conversation about child actors who have been able to sustain their fame and just haven't spiraled because y'all know the Nickelodeon documentary came out and it featured people like Amanda Bynes and those from Drake and Josh and those from all that. And that was a big conversation, and she was one of those, and Raven, who were like they were able to rise above all the things. But then the conversation started to be about what are some of the things that they may have dealt with in Hollywood that were maybe not necessarily for a child, right? And KeKe Palmer was able to articulate herself in a very good way of saying, like, yeah, I've been to things, I've been at parties, I've been places, and I've understood, what's going on. And one of the biggest things that she spoke about was Trey Songz, being at a party and he's like banging on the door or something, trying to get her out the bathroom. And she's like locking herself in this bathroom to keep herself safe. She mentioned that. And this is around the conversation of believing Black women first. And, there was all this talk about, not taking it seriously and all these things. And you'll see that just because she's a woman, women won't immediately agree, right? There, like I said, it's the bird side, it's the pick me side, it's the you need a man side, and then there's the more like human rights feminist side. So a lot of women at the time were like, well, why were you there? What were you doing towards him? That was that conversation. And then she had a child with her boyfriend, and they were kind of private, but then they kind of became public pretty quickly. And this with this guy, came pretty public with this guy, and she was sharing how much she loved him, and how much they get along, and all the things. Okay, and I think the whole image of her was like she's strong, she's boisterous, she's got her things going on, she's got her career in line, she's with this guy, and now they're having DA type of dealings. Okay. And we started to hear all these clips, all this screaming, and her mom got involved, and we saw pictures of just, images of things that just was not right. And we wanted more for KeKe because in our eyes, that's Akilah and the Bee. Okay. That she's done nothing. That's True Jackson. She's done nothing for us to not be on her side. Right. And she's of our generation. She's a millennial, like we're a millennial. She says things that are funny, like we got her, right? And we don't have many. Okay. So with that being said, we quickly hopped on the KeKe train, especially with that, because it was like she is speaking up and advocating for herself. And now she's on the stage of being a DA survivor. Okay. And maybe she wasn't trying to be completely that. But, when you're in the spotlight, sometimes that happens. You get attached to a cause that you may not be trying to be fully on stage for, but you get attached to it, right? People attach it to you, they champion it for you, and some people are affected or influenced by your ability to survive, your ability to pick yourself back up, your ability to, raise your child, even through all of these things. And although we are of different classes, because I don't have KeKe money, right? But people pick and choose things in artists and in influencers that give them just a little bit more to survive, right? That push them past. So she might have helped some people unknowingly, right? Just by voicing her ability to survive. I want to make sure I continue to say that, okay? Because I think that people are not understanding why we put her in this position. And I feel like it was kind of easy to, because women in the industry have to survive domestic. They just do. They have to survive, the microaggressions of being a woman, and being hit on, and possibly like quid pro quo, and all these things are very like real realities in the workplace from like 20 years ago. We are coming to a place where we understand how we should be in the workplace, how things should work. But if you're a sensible person, you would understand that most people, especially if you're an attractive woman, especially if you have power, you have money, you have influence, most people will try you in that way. Most men will try you in that way. Okay. So we all have had to push past, and especially if you're a Black woman, you've had to push past microaggressions with your hair, push past microaggressions with about your gender, period. Okay. So this Jonathan, I took a while. Took a while to establish. That was my intro paragraph. Okay. But this thing with Jonathan Majors is very delicate. Okay. It's very delicate because the conversation that I'm seeing a lot of men have is you guys want to hold him accountable, and like just how much more does he have to do to be held accountable? Like he keeps coming out and he keeps admitting to it and sharing the story and blah blah blah. Okay. There's a couple things that are very true. He pled not guilty, and we understand the plight of a Black man, and in the media and in the jail system, prison system, and all of that. We understand all of that, right? But also, he is still a Black man with money, influence, all of these things, right? We saw him lose a lot. Okay. And then I feel like his image started to change because of his attachment to a Black woman who we love. Okay. And as much as we can get down there and argue in the comments, you can't say that him being out there with Megan Good wasn't a part of like the catalyst to push him back towards our good graces, right? It's kind of like, oh, Megan's with him. He seems safe again. Okay, so let's see what's going on. Let's see what's popping, right? So he started to be out there with her. He started to do all the things, right? And he went through the trial with her. She's sitting there with him, and it caused me to question. I remember at the time me questioning, like, is this what you have to be willing to do in the Black community in a hetero relationship? Okay, because women don't really do each other this way. Men don't really do each other this way, right? And all of the images that we've seen of a person like standing by someone, it's been a Black woman standing by a Black man, a Black woman hugging the Black man and putting him on the mammy titty, right? A Black woman being a ride or die for a Black man. And we've slowly started to break down these tropes and understand that that's not good. Ain't nothing good in being a ride or die. Either I'm riding or I'm dying. Do we know that dying is that's it? So yeah, everybody started to have a different conversation because this is not 20 years ago when we're just happy to have black attractive people in Hollywood. Now we understand there's nuance. Now we understand that we are not all a monolith. And although we look up to you because, black don't crack and you working it and you doing all the things that you need to do in Hollywood, I may not necessarily align with your philosophy in the way that you think, in the way that you move. And so I don't have to consume your art because there's plenty of other artists out there who look like me. We're no longer in the position where this is all we got. Okay. And I think that's why certain things we don't consume. I used to be a big consumer of all black media, right? And then I slowly started to understand I don't have to consume everything. Everything ain't for me. I don't align with everything. I'm not rocking with this. Okay. So the reason why this interview was never going to fly is because we got KeKe Palmer up here. We got Issa Rae up there, right? We got SZA up there. We got all these different artists, these different people up there because they're of our generation. They have duality and they're able to create and be who they are, and they're strong women, they're successful women. And they didn't have to ride the backs of someone else to make it there. They made it on their own, right? They got it out the mud. Okay. And so when you become a speaker of equity and equality and inclusion and, access and black women and being a girl's girl and all these things, it can be hard to accept that you would promote and publicly support someone who has wronged a woman. Now, there's a lot of different conversations. Like, she's not a black woman, right? But she's still a woman. And maybe she was paid a certain amount. I don't know these people, right? Maybe KeKe was paid a certain amount to have Jonathan on. Maybe, Jonathan begged and pleaded. Maybe Megan Good called in a favor. Maybe KeKe really felt like, okay, I'll be able to tell my audience why he's safe, why he's okay. But I think the pandering was never going to work because to me, you make a mistake, you got to put your head down and do your work. Do your work, right? You don't really have to come out on stage. And I understand you have a movie to promote and all the things, but I'm a firm believer that if it's good, it's good. We'll get there, right? We'll get there. I think on my podcast this week, I'm going to discuss a topic of separating the art from the artist. I don't know if it can truly be done because sometimes, like, if you're associated with certain things, it's hard to debunk that. It's hard to break that down. But also, I'm not the ultimate judge. There's many of things that I've done that I would hope that somebody doesn't just tie my character to for the rest of my life because I've learned and I've grown. But also, you got to put your head down and do the work. You do. People have this humbling time, and maybe he feels like he's done the work. I don't know, but I just don't know that KeKe, if she truly understand her image and understood her brand and how, we all look to her. I think she's younger than me, but we all look to her as like an epitome of success for our generation, and then understood like the things that she spoke on, then I don't think she would have put this out. I don't think she would have interviewed him. I don't. Now, a lot of people are asking like how this could have still worked out. I believe that KeKe has access to a lot of bags. She has access to a lot of spaces. She didn't need this interview that bad. She just didn't need this interview that bad to me. Okay. But I'm just a girl, I don't know her life, but it just doesn't look good. And, of course people are pulling up the clips. And now, like I said, it's given birdism because KeKe has spoken openly before about R. Kelly and enjoying his music. And, I think she was calling him Robert or something. And if you know me, Baby, I do not jive with R. Kelly. But there was a time when I did. Okay. And this is as a teenager into like early 20s. And y'all know he had been did what he had done, but I was still step, side to side. I was still moving and grooving because to me, as a community, we ain't said nothing. We ain't did nothing with them. We've said that this is fine, and even at that in that time, I understood what was fine from Black men. I understood that I would be preyed upon. I understood it as a thing. I understood that although it's not everyone and all of them, at some point they will. Somebody's daddy, somebody's uncle, somebody, something. So it was given R. Kelly. You just know what not to wear around them. You knew at that time that's what it was, early 2000s. But somewhere around Surviving R. Kelly, which I thank God that they put it out because it did trigger something in me to better understand. Yeah, actually, no, like this was never okay. And because I've gone through my own stuff, why was I rocking with this? Oh, because it was popular too. Oh, because he was everywhere. Oh, because he had money. Oh, because I wasn't around to see the images. I wasn't around to hear the full story. Oh, but now here it is still in this time and he's still continuing. Oh, you haven't shown like progression that you've learned, that you've grown, that you've overcome. Oh, you haven't shown that. So yeah, that is somebody that I'm like, can't do it. Every song would have been from this person in that state of mind, right? So I like I said, I want to get into that conversation on my podcast. But I mean, I want to know your thoughts on why KeKe Palmer and Jonathan Majors interview was never going to fly. I am thankful that she took it down because, like I said, it just wasn't. It wasn't for your audience. The people that follow you, we don't want to know that bad. Now, the people that follow Sherry Shepherd, they probably did want to know that bad because they're of a certain generation that coddles that, right? And what I hope and pray is that KeKe's not headed down that road. But when you see KeKe on Legendary and you see KeKe, on the Terrell show and you see KeKe in One of Them Days, you start to understand her as a certain artist, a certain figure that just wouldn't rock with nothing like this. And we could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I was wrong yesterday, right? So I hope that answers your question. I do want to know y'all thoughts though, because there's a lot of conversation around this, and it blows my mind because I be thinking that we all woke, but some of us are asleep, and that's okay. I'm Kemray. This is Kemray Music TV, and I want to know your thoughts on this subject. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and like the video. Share this video with all your friends. Let's get into some conversation, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, and we out.